What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. You know I gotta give my reactions to the so-called unbeatable Lions losing. And of course, Lamar Jackson and those Ravens. And then to wrap things up, of course, I gotta give you my predictions for the AFC and NFC Championship games. So let's get started with my top 5. And I guess this is the I told you so episode. And I didn't want it to be. And I hate to be her, but as Cameron may say, it is what it is. And the Lions fell short. No excuses on the table. Everyone called me a hater all season long. And here we are. And they didn't even make it as far as they did last year. And I said this from the very start, okay? I was like, I'm not 100% sold on the Lions. I want to see what they do in the postseason, okay? Now, during the regular season, the team was looking complete. You know, they had their running threats on offense. Of course, you got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got the solid receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown. High-scoring offense, scary defense, juggling injuries all year. But this is football. Everyone's got injuries, okay? They had one of the best O-lines in the NFL. Statistically, though, the pass defense, I mean, one of the worst in the regular season, but they were on that belt to ass tour, right? And look, like I said back in week 10, when they played the Texans, I'm going to keep saying it because for me, that's when Goff showed me the team could be beat. That was Goff's true colors right there. Any given Sunday as well. And you know what? They looked wobbly then. And the way they looked wobbly then is the same way they looked wobbly in their demise with 5 turnovers total, 3 interceptions, and a fumble from Goff. And it didn't matter how hard your boy Sonic was running. It didn't matter. He tried to put the whole team on his back. It wasn't enough. The game came down to who can be cooler than a cucumber, like some old folks would say. And that award went to Jayden Daniels by far. The rookie quarterback looking like the chosen one, throwing 22 of 31 for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receivers stepped up to the plate in this game, and that was really exciting to see. You got Brian Robinson Jr. He had a great game and actually more rushing yards than Jayden Daniels for once, and matched him with 2 touchdowns, which was really exciting. And if you remember last episode in the podcast, I said that's what needed to happen. It can't all be on Jayden, right? I mean, what happened to that super scary Lions rush defense? And of course, I mean, there are going to be some fans who were saying, well, you know, if Aiden Hutchinson was playing, if Hutch was playing, you know, a big man like that could have pressured Jayden Daniels. Yeah, make a mess up, sure. But this comes down to Jayden Daniels being Jayden Daniels, Jared Goff, and all those turnovers, letting the Commanders get off on some explosive plays, crucial errors, like having 12 defenders on the field. I know when you guys were watching, Tom Brady, I like his announcing. Some people are like, oh, Tom, stop it. I just feel like they're haters because, you know, he's the GOAT. But he does a really good job. He knows the game, obviously. I mean, you don't get that many rings not knowing what you're talking about, right? But anyway, he called it. You saw it on the field, and that was really crucial. And those are real problems. So was it too much pressure for Mufasa? It looks like it, man. And at least the 2023 Lions, like I said before, made it to the NFC Championship game. And now they're shopping for an offensive and defensive coordinator as they lost Ben Johnson to the Bears for a head coaching gig, and then defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to the Jets, who's going to try and revive some ounce of dignity up there in New York. Whew. I don't know if it can be done, but, you know, if anybody could do it, Aaron Glenn can. I'm going to say this one more time. All of you Detroit, you guys said last year was your year. Then you said this year was going to be your year, and it wasn't. And I'm going to tell you now, next year ain't going to be y'all's year either. So you can save this episode, save this little clip right here, because I'm telling you. I mean, Detroit's out here looking like the early 90s Bills, except at least the Bills actually made it to the Super Bowl game. Okay, but that's enough. Look, man, I really have no beef with the Lions. It was just all of these fans coming for me since the beginning of the season because they wanted me to glaze the Lions. And I'm like, bro, look, y'all are dope. Y'all are doing great things. You know, I'm watching the games. I'm really watching the games and I'm loving what I'm seeing, but I'm still in the back of my mind. I'm like, what that postseason do? What that postseason talking about? And it's like, nothing. All right. But anyway, on to the Ravens. Okay. I got to give you my reactions here. Okay. And that was sickening. And I know people probably took their Mark Andrew jerseys off and took them to Goodwill after that game. But, you know, it wasn't all his fault. But sheesh, you know, it's not a great feeling. Look, man, I was on your guys' side. I wanted the Ravens to beat the Bills, okay? So the Chiefs could end up playing them because I know KC would win that game with ease. So what happened, right? It's what always happens, and it's what every Baltimore fan is afraid is gonna happen. Baltimore beats themselves, right? But if you're more into juju sports, I told you what was gonna happen last episode. I said, if there's snow on the ground in Buffalo, okay, that is not a good sign, okay? Winter is here, so to speak, and no one knows winter like that nasty Buffalo team. And then, of course, there's Lamar's Madden curse. Some people might turn to that after this painful loss. But look, man, back to the game, back to the logistics of it all. Turnovers, again, huge issue. And while nobody was expecting that from the back-to-back MVP that is Lamar Jackson, anything is possible when the pressure is on. And the pressure seems to always be on Lamar. I mean, the Ravens had 3 costly turnovers, that failed 2-point conversion. Oh my God, sick. Okay, and then the Bills defense and holding Derrick Henry to 84 yards. I mean, those were the keys really to victory in this game. I mean, for any other running back, 84 yards, might be a good thing. But last time the Ravens played the Bills in September, Henry rushed for 199 yards. I mean, just to kind of put things into perspective for you, 84 yards is not a good game for Derrick Henry. It's just a good game for your running back. But anyway, okay. Still, all in all, it was just a 2-point game, which makes that 2-point conversion even more just miserable, right? But Lamar is still poised to win the NFL's MVP award. The Professional Football Writers of America named Lamar already the 2024 MVP. That's the 3rd time he's won it for them, which could indicate he's well on his way to winning the NFL MVP 3 times in a row. But like I said last episode, that award's got to start feeling like forever a bridesmaid, never the bride. I mean, how many times you got to catch the bouquet before you get the ring? People want to know. All right, man. Look, it's not easy getting to a Super Bowl. If that was the case, so many more people would have rings, right? And a lot of fans across the NFL are blaming the refs. Okay, the Texans racked up some costly penalties against the Chiefs in the divisional. 8 penalties for 82 yards. That is not a joke. Now, a recent ESPN stats analysis done by Warren Sharp of Sharp Football shows significant disparities in penalty differentials between the Chiefs and their postseason opponents. Okay, so for example, in 11 playoff games since 2021, the Chiefs have had 10 games with fewer penalties than their opponents and 10 games with fewer penalty yardage than their opponents, right? And this is during the postseason, okay? Because I know during the regular season, everybody's complaining. They've got their little ref memes ready to go on X, Twitter, whatever, but it's not the same thing. The Chiefs don't always get their way during the regular season, but if you look at those stats, you might think, oh man, things are really stacked against anybody playing the Chiefs, right? All of this is going to happen when you win the Super Bowl back-to-back, okay? Going from being one of the crappiest teams in the league to the team to beat. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders started hearing that next year. Oh, you're cheating. Oh, they're protecting Jayden. All of it. Yeah, I'm right. I mean, Jayden Daniels better be ready because it's coming. Okay. Now, the thing is, stats are stats. And could it be that Andy Reid's team is just that more composed in the postseason? I mean, to win the Super Bowl 3 times, that is absolutely going to be a factor. I mean, are the refs showing favoritism to Mahomes? Well, if you look at the stats, Josh Allen actually leads the league in getting roughing the passer calls, according to AP News' sports writer Josh Dubow. And it's not even close. Okay, so what does that mean for this conference championship game? Okay, because we know those refs love Josh Allen too. Okay, so who are they going to love on more? Is it going to be Mahomes? I really sure do hope Andy Reid put that check in the mail for those refs. Okay, but look, there will always be a margin of human error when it comes to human sports, but please don't even act like Mahomes is the lone quarterback out there attempting to draw penalties, because I will never forget watching that wild card game. It was the Bucks and the Commanders, and you got Baker out there calling some face mask, and it wasn't even close to being on it. It was wild because they slowed it down. And it was like, bro, what are you doing? This is so dramatic. This is like LeBron James level of dramatic. You know what I mean? But I'm not mad at him for trying to get one either. Okay, it's all a part of the game. You got to do what you got to do to try to win, right? So that was crazy. You got to go find that clip. That was crazy. But look, man, all season long, we've seen refs miss calls, flop, on holding calls. I've seen that a lot of that. They say, oh, he was holding. It wasn't holding. And it's like, oh my gosh, the penalties stack up. And yes, it can really change the outcome of a game. Now, all of this losing because of penalties kind of reminds me of combat sports with the judges' scorecards, okay? Sometimes you just can't leave it to the judges. You actually have to be that much better. I mean, sometimes you got to do them like John Jones did Cyril Gahn. You got to choke him out. You got to sit him down. Game over. Okay, it's clear. We ain't going by points, bro. He's out. He's not getting up. Okay, you got to be better. You got to be sharper. And if we're talking about the Texans, you actually got to throw a touchdown pass. And because the game has more penalties now than ever, everybody's saying football's so much softer. I mean, it's an extreme sport, all in all. So we're trying to save these guys with the, but I know everybody wants to see crazy stuff, and I get it. It's entertaining and things like this, but we know we're not back in the 80s and the, 70s where it's just like, well, just do it. So, I mean, it's going to be harder than ever for the defense, for example, to interact with quarterbacks. But just like everything in life, adjustments have to be made because a win is a win is a win. And there's no asterisk put next to the losers that say, should have won due to unfair penalties. Like, that doesn't happen, okay? So I'm just keeping it real. That's crazy. You see all these fans who are mad. Oh, it's because of this. I'm like, in history books, they don't put that there. Oh, the Chiefs won because they just won. That's just the way it is. All right, guys. So I got all of that off my chest. I think I can make a couple more predictions for those championship games. And we're going to start with the home team, okay? The Chiefs and the Bills, all right? And look, I know that the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season. We're in the postseason now. Okay, we're in the end game now, okay? All my Avengers fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. And the Chiefs have kept it close, with the scoring for most of the regular season. But that's been over. And as you saw with the Texans, it wasn't close both times that we played them. And if you can imagine, I don't want to hear about the penalties because y'all Texans didn't even throw a touchdown pass. How are you complaining about penalties with no touchdown pass? Complaining about penalties with no touchdown pass is almost as bad as Deontay Wilder and him saying his outfit was too heavy and that they drugged his water and that's why he lost to Tyson Fury. Stop it. Y'all gotta stop it, okay? But here are the Chiefs' paths to victory. Mahomes' magic need that. No interceptions, okay, first and foremost. I want to see Mahomes be agile. We want to see those crazy touchdown passes if possible. But we know we can win without those as well. You got to get the ball to Travis Kelce. He's going to catch it. He's no Mark Andrews. Okay, I'm just kidding. I respect Mark Andrews, but for real though. And I need our secondary, aka McDuffie, to be on one again. Let's call it another one, okay? And if he does, I got to get that man's Cash App. I'm going to give him $22 because he just deserves a fatter check. I need Chris Jones to shut him down like that's what he does. Chris Shut Him Down Jones, that's what I call him. Karlaftis needs to keep Karlofting it up, okay? Need that pressure on Josh Allen. That is a must. You got to shut that guy down. I need eyes on the edge. I don't want to see Josh Allen getting yards off an Arrowhead, and Josh Allen will do everything it takes, include risking his own neck to win this game. He is crazy, so we got to watch him, okay? We need more ground game. That would be nice. I'd love to see Isaiah Pacheco get a good game, and after injuries, not been quite the same, but that's to be expected. But Kareem Hunt's been getting us on those third down conversions, fourth, all of that. So also DeAndre Hopkins, where was he last game? I don't know. I'd love to see some of that vet wide receiver action. I just feel like he has that Nico Collins in him, and some of our more nimble wide receivers don't have that, but I'd love to see Worthy turning it up. Bills are one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL. And if their defense is looking as good as it did against Baltimore, we're going to have to score some points here. So it'd be nice to kind of start fast, get some distance, and keep it. We don't want those refs out there calling roughing the passer on our guys, okay? We don't want to leave it to the refs. You never want to leave it to the refs, especially since they love Josh Allen so much, okay? All right, now as excited as I am for the AFC Championship game, the Commanders have truly stolen the show, okay, with that win over the Lions. And here they are for the first time since 1991, headed to the NFC Championship game to face division rivals, the Eagles. And also 1991, great vintage, but also the last time they actually won a Super Bowl. So 33 years. I want the Commanders to win. I've been watching the Commanders this entire season, and it's been fun seeing them develop. Especially the corner they've turned in the postseason. And like I told you, this is a team that had one of the worst run defenses in the regular season, but was able to counter that with a high-scoring offense from Jayden Daniels. And I know that Hail Mary against Chicago with no time on the clock lives in Chicago fans' heads rent-free, okay? That being said, this is a division game with everything on the line, and that means anything can happen. Here's what has to happen. Commanders have to contain Saquon. If they can keep that man to 80 yards, maybe 100, okay? If they could keep it to 100 yards, that would be something, all right? Because the last time they matched up versus the Eagles, Saquon ran for 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was back in November when the Commanders lost 18-26, and then most recently in December when Saquon ran for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's when the Commanders won 36-33, but that win came with the absence of Jalen Hurts for majority of the game. That's when Jalen Hurts got injured. He was put on concussion protocol for a few games, but Jalen Hurts is back now. But the passing game hasn't been crazy in the postseason. Last game, they relied heavily on Saquon, who rushed for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns in treacherous conditions. The Eagles have been winning with Saquon and that defense, so the Commanders' O-line is going to have to protect the pocket. Give Jayden Daniels some protection to choose to do what he wants to do, because he can run. On the flip side, the Commanders' defense is going to have to put that pressure on Jalen Hurts, because once he gets flustered, I mean, that passing game is really not going anywhere, okay? You got to get Jayden that ball back and give him time, because that Eagles defense is not a joke. It's something strong to work against, all right? So you need to dominate the clock if you can, okay? Yeah, you're going to be putting up a lot of plays here, getting really creative, but I think the passing power that Jayden Daniels has is going to shine again. I mean, look at the last divisional game with the Eagles and the Rams. Matt Stafford threw 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and it still wasn't enough. And to beat the Eagles last time, Jayden Daniels had to throw for 258 yards and 5 touchdowns, dominating the passing game. That helped them overcome the Eagles defense. I mean, I don't even know if overcome is the right word. It's like you just kind of have to create a situation of severe imbalance. You got to give yourself more opportunities to score. And so, like I said, that dominate the time, right? And that's what it's going to take again. And like I said, limit Saquon. That is going to be huge. But I always want to hear your guys' hot takes in the comments. I know there are a lot of Motor City fans who are upset right now. Maybe the Sixers will take you home then. I'm just kidding. But look, okay, I want to hear your guys' predictions in the comments. Don't hate me. You know, I'm going to talk a little trash. And if my team loses, they won't. But if they lose, I'm going to be on here and I'm going to take full responsibility for that as well. All right. That is our show. Talk to me, like I said, in the comments. And I always love to hear your guys' feedback. So wherever you're listening, be sure to rate and review the podcast. I love hearing from you. Okay. So talk with me. All right, guys. Well, it's crazy. This time next week, we'll know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. So until then, have a great rest of your week and get those parlays together. Get them together.